Organizations cannot extract maximum value if you are not able to clearly communicate that brilliance. And so I work with people to help them do the things that we're talking about, to clearly communicate that brilliance and to build relationships so that not only can you be smart, but other people can use that intelligence to have innovation and to have wonderful things happen. Very important thing. All right. So are we ready to exercise? Yeah, that's right. Get up, start running around. Exercise is really important. No, I'm not talking about that kind of exercise, folks. We are going to exercise our brain. One of the things about soft skills training is sometimes it's not about the wonderful checklist that we build of things to do, but it's about the reflection. It's about what we think about. So here is your exercise. You'll see this come up. You're going to reflect on a past or current relationship or experience. What specific qualities do you think those external customers, right, needed to feel that they were provided a good service? Did I get you there on that? Your internal and external customers, something from the past or from the current experience right now, what do you think they needed to feel that they were being provided great service? Let me give you an example. Maybe you're working at a particular organization and their definition of good service is for you to come, show up to a meeting on time, not only show up to the meeting on time, but you're ready to go, notebook in hand, and you also have a good attitude and good energy. We often don't think about the value of a good attitude and good energy, but that would be what I would need to feel like I was provided good customer service. Could you imagine going into a restaurant and the waitress comes up to your table and she's got a bad attitude? Isn't it amazing how that can impact your entire experience? Well, folks, that's very similar to the way that we interact and work on a regular basis. Just because it doesn't feel like the camera's on you, people are watching, people are looking, and your energy and your attitude matters. So think about this for just a second. What can you do to turn a good relationship into a great relationship by understanding what other people need to feel like they're being provided great customer service? Right. Okay, moving on. You've had a chance to think about that. And folks, of course, you can always pause this, take a moment, have as much self-reflection as you want, and come on back with us. We're going to keep rolling. Now we're going to break some things down here. We're going to talk about specifically, and I've got some intel for you because I've had a chance to talk to quite a few people. What do your coworkers need? So how do we look at them as customers? With some very powerful questions for you. And then we're going to transition to a very important relationship, also sometimes a stressful relationship, and that is with the good old supervisor, the boss, the team lead, whoever that person is that is in the positional power and the person that you are supposed to be supporting. So there are different ways that you provide great customer service to these two groups of people. Let's start with our coworkers. So what do your coworkers need? You probably already have some guesses if you think back to some of the challenges you might have had with coworkers, but let's talk about some of these powerful questions. Number one, coworkers, and we are all coworkers, we tend, as human beings, we want to be understood. We also want other people to acknowledge that I don't do it the way you do it. I do it a different way. Can you hear my way of doing things before you bogard your way in there? So as a person interacting in the workplace, are you able to patiently listen, understand a different approach, and without getting upset, without getting offended, saying something like this? That's an interesting approach. This is how I might approach this situation. We have people in the workplace from all over the world, from different regions, different races, different cultures, different ages. So shouldn't we expect people to do things differently? That's the reason that we exist. If everything was supposed to be done the same way, we wouldn't need different people working in the workplace. And by the way, for those of you that did not receive the memo, diversity and inclusion is the best way to ignite innovation within an organization. So before you shut people down because they don't think the way you think, be careful because you might be shutting down an opportunity for some serious innovation to be created. Wonderful. All right. The other thing that coworkers need, that we all need, that humans need, is this flexibility piece and also the accountability piece. So as you're working with people, you want to know that you can rely on them. Oh my goodness, this is a big thing. I just want to be able to rely on someone to watch my back. I want to be able to rely on someone to do what they say they're going to do. Very important. And And I want you to understand that I'm not perfect. So if you could please be flexible, and in order to receive that flexibility, I am going to give it to others. So where are those opportunities in your professional world, in your personal world, where you can be more flexible? Where are those opportunities where you can be more accountable? I know I said in the beginning, folks, that this is life-changing because it really spans across everything that we do. Really good practice. All right, a couple other things. This good old thing about admitting mistakes. Very interesting thing. I know that some of us, and it's actually a very natural psychological thing to want to defend ourselves. We make a mistake and we might want to blame this person, blame that person, run away from the problem. It is a power move to be able to say, you know what? You're right. I made a mistake. But you know what I'm going to do? I'd like for us to talk about how I can fix that mistake, because it is my goal to make sure that these same types of mistakes do not happen in the future. So again, your commitment is not to be perfect. That is not the commitment that organizations want from you, because we understand that that is impossible. The commitment is the accountability and taking responsibility for the choices that you make and being willing to admit those mistakes. Now let's track back for just 2 seconds to emotions. When we admit our mistakes, it has some emotional impact, and that emotional impact sometimes says, there's something wrong with me, I'm not doing a good job. If we can disconnect that a little bit and to say, I am a growing, valuable professional. I make mistakes because I take risks. I share with others my ideas and my opinions, and I'm aware that this does not always turn out exactly perfect. But I'm willing to keep getting in there, and I'm willing to make mistakes and admit them, because in the long run, I will be the person that will be wiser, that will be more experienced and more knowledgeable, because I know the power of what mistakes can teach me. So don't miss out on the opportunity, folks, to miss your mistake. That is, woo, that's some good stuff. Make some mistakes, admit them, move on, show up, suit up, and do it. Really important stuff. And lastly, this all kind of comes into one nice, I like to say, nice bubble of things that our coworkers certainly want from us, and what we also want in return from people that we work with, and that is being open to new ideas and showing respect. Quick moment on respect. Respect can be seen very differently across different cultures. So the way that you define respect may be different than the way someone else defines respect. So here's a quick tip. If you interact with someone in a certain way and they share with you that something that you did made them feel a certain way, it does not matter what's right or wrong. You do not have to justify or argue about what you did. All that matters is how they feel. So if someone feels disrespected, that is foundational truth. It is not, and I'll give you just a really quick example. I walk in the room, I look at my iPhone, you feel that you were ignored. You feel that you were dismissed. Right? That was not my intention. I was just looking at my iPhone because my son wanted some cereal, right? There's just something that happened there. But the key is, I'm not going to tell you, oh, I don't know why you get upset. I'm just looking at my iPhone. Everyone does that. I'm going to say, I am really sorry that you felt dismissed and as if I wasn't listening to you. I'll put the iPhone away and say, that was not my intention. Can you come back in 5 minutes, because I want to give you my undivided attention, and I definitely want to hear what it is that you have to say, right? Doesn't matter what I intended, but it matters what the impact of my behavior was. Power, folks, you want power? If you can master that skill, woo, we are rocking there. We are really, really rocking. So open to new ideas and showing respect. As we show respect, understand not only your definition of respect, but what that means to your coworkers and the people to whom you work. Here's another exercise. We have to exercise our mind and have this reflection in order to improve our effectiveness and build and maintain great relationships. So a couple of things to think about. What is your ideal team? What are some qualities that you would like to have on a team? What are some qualities that you would like to have on a team? What can you do differently to serve your team members better? What could you do differently to serve your team members better? Really important. And lastly, how does viewing team members as customers, how does that change your approach? Our mindset is very critical to the behaviors that we choose. So if they are your customers, if you think about this model that we're talking about, how does that change your approach? So take a moment, think about those 3 questions, and come on back. Okay. Let's talk about our relationship with our boss. This is a critical relationship, and let me let you into my world for just a moment. So what I do is I get up on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I have coaching clients back to back, one after another. Wake up at about 8 o'clock in the morning, we call in, and we talk. And of all of these coaching clients, what I hear about on a regular basis are, for many, that the boss is such an interesting relationship because there's a power dynamic there. And people have extreme amounts of stress around this particular relationship. So many people say, you don't understand, Talia, my boss is really difficult. You don't understand, Talia, I'm trying to do my best, but it seems as if my boss. So I have all of these comments that come over and over again, and what I realize is that we have to manage our bosses. Have you ever thought about that? You're actually managing your boss in order to serve them well. Customers in anything that we do also have to be managed. So let's talk about specifically what we need to do to provide excellent customer service to your boss. Your boss is your client. Your boss is your customer. Here's some things that you can do. This is a checklist of things, folks. This is a checklist. So as you think about this, you want to be able to get those slides right in front of you, take a snapshot, and start to check off, do you know these things about your boss? Number 1, here's the checklist. Do you understand your boss's needs, preferences, and pressures? I did say pressures. We can be so self-centered sometimes, let me tell you, in the employee world. Bosses tend to have a lot of pressures that they face. There's a whole other world that they may be dealing with that may not be personal. Do you know what those things are? Are you seeking ways to adapt your approach to be able to serve them well? So what that means, let's say you're a person that loves to send long, flowery emails. You're a fantastic writer, but you work for a boss that has a very limited amount of time. What do you need to do to adjust? You go from long, flowery emails to good old bullet points. High level is what they call it. The reason they call it high level is because someone should be able to read some of those emails in 30 seconds. You may be on the other side, folks, where your boss likes more information. I need lots of reference. I need lots of information. So what you want to do is adjust that and say, you know what, I prefer to get direct to the point and have bullets, but this particular boss, his preferences, more information. You got to find the answer to that so you can adjust and serve them well. The other thing is show and share how your strengths can support individual goals. So what does that mean? What can you do and how can they support the goals? Again, what do you do should not just be in a vacuum of I do this and I do that. It has to be connected to the goals. It has to be connected to values. Really important piece. If your boss gives you feedback, we're tracking back to that whole emotional thing with the feedback. How can you view feedback as an opportunity to provide better service? Right? How can you view that feedback? Not taking it personally, but they're actually just expressing a need or a preference. Okay? A couple other quick things. You see your bullets there on the slide, but we're just going to go over a couple other things that I think will really support you in managing this relationship. Few things. Evaluate whether or not what you're doing now is supporting your boss. Build your relationship based on some communication skills and some good connecting. So if your boss seems a little bit unavailable, that's okay. You send a quick email and say 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I just want a little bit of your time to connect. Want to ask you some questions about how I can serve you well. Really important piece there. Going back to those expectations, manage and clarify expectations that they have, and you also can clarify expectations that you have. We're not discounting ourselves, folks. We also want to be able to let people know how you work best. So there have been times where I've had to talk to supervisors, talk to bosses, and say something like, I'd like to share with you ways that I can support and serve you well. A couple of those things are, it's great if I can receive feedback. Very specific feedback on what I provide to you. That will help me adjust the way in which I approach tasks. Those kinds of things. This is a two-way conversation that allows you to have what they call an interdependent relationship with the boss. Interdependent means that they rely on you for things and you also rely on them for things. the way we look at boss relationships, sometimes you have people that are, yes sir, I'll do whatever it is you need, yes sir, oh, do you have any ideas? Nope, no ideas, do whatever you need. That's one end. Then there's another end that says there are people that tend to be it's just if you're in authority or if there's power, they say, why do you think that way? You shouldn't do that. So they're constantly having this almost pull with their boss. It's two extremes. You want to be in the middle. The middle is I'm listening to you, understanding what you need, and I'm also being flexible and providing maximum value by sharing my expertise. There's a nice middle ground there that will really be helpful to you. All right. And lastly, understanding your role. There's a big strategy here, folks, in that who are you within the organization and what are you there to do? So you might have fantastic ideas, but you want to be strategic about when and how you share those ideas because you may not be in the particular role where that idea can be heard. This is where your network comes in. You might want to share your idea with someone else in order to become a part of the conversation. But your role is very critical because you want to be competent and cover your role before you start to do other things that are outside of your role. Okay? Take care of home first, and then you can start to go out and do some more creative things to gain some of that credibility and some of that extra oomph in the workplace.